There comes a moment in every person's life, a moment that changes everything. It doesn't come with warning signs. It doesn't come wrapped in luxury or fame. It comes quietly, almost invisibly, but when it arrives, nothing remains the same. That moment is when faith opens the vault of supply. Now, I'm not talking about blind hope or wishful thinking. I'm talking about faith, that deep, unshakable knowing that what you need already exists even when your eyes can't see it. A few years ago, I met a man who had lost everything. His business failed, his friends disappeared, and he was sleeping on a borrowed couch. One night, out of sheer exhaustion, he whispered a simple prayer. God, if there's still something left for me, show me. Nothing happened that night, but something shifted in him. He woke up with peace instead of panic. He decided to knock on one more door, a door he'd avoided for months. That meeting led to a small opportunity, which turned into a thriving business within a year. He told me later, it wasn't luck. It was the moment my faith unlocked what had always been waiting for me. You see, the vault of supply isn't a physical place. It's the invisible storehouse of possibilities that exists for every one of us. It holds answers, opportunities, resources, all waiting to be claimed. But here's the secret. The key is faith. Not fear, not logic, not doubt. Faith. Faith says, I may not see the way, but I know there's one. Faith looks at emptiness and still expects abundance. Faith walks into the unknown and finds miracles waiting. Think of life like a locked bank vault. The wealth, the ideas, the breakthroughs, they're all inside. But the combination code isn't written on the door. It's written inside your belief. Every time you choose trust over panic, every time you act with confidence when everything says give up, you turn one more number in that code. And one day, click, the vault opens. That's the once-in-a-lifetime moment. Have you ever been at the edge of giving up, and then something unexpected turned everything around? Was it really coincidence? Or was it the moment your faith finally aligned with your supply? How many miracles have passed us by because we stopped believing just one day too soon? The universe doesn't respond to doubt. It responds to conviction. When you speak faith into your situation, you give life to unseen power. You shift from saying, I hope it happens, to it is happening. And that shift changes everything. Doors open. People appear. Paths form. It's as if the whole universe whispers, finally, you remembered who you are. There's a story of a farmer who prayed every day for rain. His crops were dying, but he never missed a day. One morning, while others mocked him, he went out and started plowing dry ground. Someone asked, why are you working when there's no rain? He smiled and said, because I'm preparing for what I prayed for. That's faith. That's how the vault opens. Not when you see proof, but when you act like it's already yours. Here are some key points related to this. Faith is a key that unlocks unseen resources, opportunities, and blessings. The vault of supply is an invisible storehouse of abundance available to everyone. Doubt delays miracles. Belief activates them. Faith is action before evidence. It's preparing the field before it rains. Your mindset is a combination code that opens a vault. The moment faith aligns with divine timing, your life transforms in unimaginable ways. Faith is a key that unlocks unseen resources, opportunities, and blessings. It's the invisible hand that turns impossibility into reality. When everything looks empty, faith whispers, it's still there, you just can't see it yet. Imagine standing before a locked vault, heavy and unyielding. You can feel that something precious lies behind it, but no matter how much you push or pull, it won't budge. That's what life feels like when you're striving without faith, effort without alignment. You can exhaust yourself trying to force the door open, but the moment you bring faith into the equation, something within you clicks. Suddenly, you realize the door was never locked from the outside. It was waiting for the key you carry within. I remember hearing about a woman who had lost her job and had no idea how to pay rent. She'd applied for dozens of positions and faced rejection after rejection. One night, in her exhaustion, she decided to stop worrying and simply trust. She said aloud, I may not know what's next, but I know I'm provided for. The next morning, a friend she hadn't spoken to in years called to tell her about an opening at a small company nearby. She got the job, one that not only paid her bills but reignited her sense of purpose. She said later, "The moment I stopped panicking and started trusting, life started moving again." That's what faith does. It changes your vibration, your frequency, your energy. It sends out a signal that says, "I'm ready to receive." Faith isn't passive. It's not sitting in a corner hoping things work out. Faith is active trust. It's taking the next step even when the path is hidden by fog. It's building the ark before the rain, planting seeds before spring, showing up the opportunity before the door is even visible. It's the power that turns waiting into preparation. When you have faith, you stop begging for miracles and start expecting them. You shift from desperation to partnership with the divine. You stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." One of the most powerful examples of faith I've ever witnessed was a man rebuilding his home after a flood destroyed everything he owned. He stood in the middle of the wreckage, holding a shovel, and said to his neighbors, "This is where my miracle begins." Everyone thought he was delusional, but day after day, he worked, one brick, one beam, one prayer at a time. Months later, that same ground where mud and ruin once lay became a small business that employed half the town. He didn't wait for proof. He built proof. That's faith. Faith doesn't ignore reality. It transforms it. It's not blind. It sees what's invisible. It's the quiet conviction that what's meant for you can't miss you, that what's delayed isn't denied, that the universe responds not to fear but to belief. Faith doesn't make life easy. It makes it possible. It's the key that fits the lock of every closed door, waiting for the moment you're brave enough to turn it. The vault of supply is not a place you can visit, touch, or see. It's an invisible storehouse of abundance that exists for every person, waiting quietly beyond the limits of human sight. It holds more than money or material things. It contains ideas, connections, healing, creativity, and opportunities, all the unseen ingredients that shape a fulfilled life. Most people walk through life thinking they're cut off from this vault, believing they have to struggle, compete, or manipulate their way to success. But the truth is, the supply is already there, waiting for the right signal, the vibration of belief, to open its door. Imagine a radio station broadcasting music right now in the room you're sitting in. You can't hear it until you tune your receiver to the right frequency. That's what the vault of supply is like. It's always broadcasting abundance, but you only receive it when you align your mind and spirit with its signal. I once met a man who spent years chasing opportunities, new jobs, business deals, side projects, all in the hope of finding the one that would change his life. But nothing seemed to work. He told me, "It feels like there's a door to abundance somewhere, but I don't have the key." He was looking outward, thinking the supply was hidden in someone else's pocket, or in a company, or in luck. One day, when his frustration reached its peak, he decided to stop chasing and start listening. He took time to sit still every morning, to think clearly, to reconnect with the part of him that had been buried beneath fear. Within weeks, ideas began flowing again, not random ones, but clear, purposeful ones. He started a small project from his home that later turned into a thriving business. He said, "I didn't find the vault. I remembered it was already inside me." That's the paradox of the vault of supply. It's not somewhere out there in the world. It's within your consciousness. Every time you choose gratitude over lack, clarity over confusion, trust over fear, you move closer to the vault's door. Every time you complain, doubt, or give up, you step further away. The supply never leaves you. It's your awareness that drifts. Think about it. Nature never worries about shortage. Trees never panic about oxygen. Rivers never hoard water, and flowers never doubt the sun will rise. Everything in creation moves in rhythm with infinite supply. We, too, were designed to live in that rhythm, but fear breaks the harmony. There's an old saying that goes, "God's gifts are not in storage, they're in circulation." That means everything you need is already moving to the world, flowing from one person to another, one opportunity to another, waiting to reach you when your spirit becomes a match for it. It could come through a phone call, a chance meeting, a new idea, or even a moment of silence that awakens inspiration. You don't have to force it. You align with it. You don't demand from a vault. You open to it. The supply responds to faith like a seed responds to sunlight, quietly but powerfully, until one day what was invisible becomes visible and you realize abundance was never withheld. It was simply waiting for you to believe it was yours all along. Doubt delays miracles, but belief activates them. It's a principle that seems simple, yet most of us wrestle with it every single day. When you doubt, your energy fragments, your focus scatters, your vision clouds. Opportunities that are knocking softly at your door go unheard because your attention is consumed by fear. I remember a young artist I once met who dreamed of painting murals across her city. Every time a gallery offered her a chance to showcase her work, she hesitated, saying, "I'm not ready. What if they don't like it?" She kept turning down invitations, convincing herself she had to be perfect before the world would accept her. Years went by. She wondered why her breakthrough never came. One evening, exhausted from her own self-imposed limitations, she whispered to herself, "I'll try it anyway. I'll show them my work as it is." That one decision, that one surrender of doubt, became the spark that lit her career. Her first mural drew attention from collectors, and suddenly doors she had never imagined opened effortlessly. Doubt had been her barrier. Belief became her key. Belief is not mere optimism. It is a force that propels action, shapes perception, and aligns circumstances. Consider the story of an entrepreneur who had spent months pitching a revolutionary idea, only to face rejection after rejection. Every investor he met would shake their head and say, "It's too risky. It won't work." The world was saying no, yet he refused to listen. He continued refining his product, presenting it with unwavering confidence, and believing in its potential. One day, a small investor finally said yes. That investment grew into a company that changed the industry. The difference between stagnation and success wasn't resources, timing, or luck. It was his belief. While the world was busy telling him no, his conviction was creating a yes behind the scenes. Doubt makes us small. Belief makes us audacious. It transforms waiting into action and fear into courage. It doesn't eliminate challenges, but it changes the way we perceive them. Obstacles become lessons, criticism becomes feedback, and delays become preparation. Imagine a seed buried under soil. Doubt is a shadow that makes it wither before it can grow. Belief is the sunlight and water that nourish it until it breaks through the surface and reaches the sky. Without belief, the seed might remain underground, full of potential but never realized. With belief, it becomes a tree, a flower, a forest. Even science mirrors this truth. Studies in psychology show that people with strong self-efficacy, the belief in their ability to succeed, are far more likely to achieve their goals than those who hesitate or second-guess themselves. The brain responds to belief by opening pathways for creative solutions, resilience, and persistent action. Doubt, on the other hand, narrows perception and paralyzes movement. The same energy that creates hesitation can, when redirected into belief, open doors that once seemed immovable. I think of the countless stories of people who, against all odds, achieved what others called impossible. What separated them from the crowd wasn't talent alone, or timing alone, or luck alone. It was the courage to believe when the world doubted. It was a willingness to keep moving, keep speaking, keep showing up, keep trusting. That's the invisible force that activates miracles, that turns waiting into breakthroughs, that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. Doubt may linger, but belief calls the unseen into being, and in that calling, the impossible becomes inevitable. Faith is action before evidence. It's the quiet courage to step into the unknown, to plant a seed without seeing the harvest, to start walking a path that doesn't yet appear on the map. Many people wait for proof before they act, waiting for the universe to hand them a sign, waiting for all the lights to turn green. But life rarely works that way. The breakthrough comes not after certainty, but during the brave moment when you act as if the outcome is already in your hands. I remember a man who wanted to open a small cafe in his town. He had no money, no experience in business, and a long list of reasons why it would fail. Friends warned him. Family hesitated. And yet one morning he said to himself, "I will start today, even if it's just a single table." He borrowed a few supplies, painted a corner of a room, and opened his doors to the first customer. It was modest, even shaky at first, but that first act of faith, acting before evidence, triggered a chain of events that led to a thriving community cafe, a loyal following, and eventually a flourishing business. Faith often feels like risk because it is, but it's the risk of alignment, not recklessness. It's the risk of trusting the invisible currents beneath the surface. Imagine an archer aiming at a target he cannot yet see. Every muscle tenses, every breath focuses, and then he releases the arrow into the air, trusting that his aim and skill will meet their mark. That release, that surrender to possibility, is what faith feels like. Without it, the arrow never flies, the seed never grows, the dream never begins. I think of a woman who had dreamed of writing a book for years. She waited until she felt ready, until she had perfect ideas and the perfect environment. But the perfect moment never came. One night, frustrated, she whispered to herself, "I will write 1 page. That's all." She wrote the page, and then another. Each page was imperfect, full of doubt and hesitation, yet every page built momentum. Eventually, she had a manuscript. Eventually, her book found readers and changed lives. She said later, "I realized the act of writing itself was the proof I've been waiting for." Faith doesn't wait for proof. It creates proof through action. This principle exists everywhere. The farmer plows before the rain, trusting that his effort will meet the coming shower. The musician practices scales before the applause. The scientist runs experiments before understanding the results. Action before evidence is a pulse of life itself, the bridge between vision and reality. Without it, dreams remain ideas. With it, they become tangible. Faith as action is not blind. It's intelligent trust. It's seeing opportunity where others see risk, taking a step when others hesitate, starting a conversation when others stay silent. It's the quiet declaration that the outcome is already on its way, and your responsibility is to move in harmony with it. Every act of faith writes the story of your life. Each choice a line etched toward fulfillment. Each step a drumbeat calling the universe to respond. And when those steps are taken consistently, with courage and trust, the proof always follows, sometimes in ways you could never have imagined. Your mindset is a combination code that opens the vault. Everything in life responds first the way you perceive it, before it responds to your actions. 2 people can face the same opportunity, the same challenge, the same empty room, and one will see possibility while the other sees limitation. I once met a young man who had inherited a small piece of land that everyone told him was worthless. The neighbors laughed at him, saying, "You'll never make anything of that barren ground." Most people would have given up or sold it cheaply, accepting their circumstances as final. But he refused to see the land through their eyes. Every morning, he walked the fields, studying the soil, imagining what could grow there. He envisioned gardens, workshops, even a small market. His mindset, the code he set in his mind, transformed what others saw as emptiness into fertile opportunity. Within a few years, that worthless land became a thriving farm that fed hundreds, employed dozens, and inspired a whole community. What changed wasn't the land. It was the way he approached it. The mind is like a vault itself. If you enter with doubt, fear, and limitation, the doors remain locked no matter how many external keys you try. But if you enter with vision, courage, and expectation, the doors swing wide, revealing resources you never imagined existed. I remember a woman who wanted to start a nonprofit to help abandoned children. She had no funding, no staff, no prior experience. Friends told her it was impossible. But she nurtured a mindset of abundance, believing that where there is need, supply always follows. She visualized her goals every day, wrote them down, and acted on every small opportunity with confidence. Doors began to open, volunteers arrived, small donations appeared, partnerships formed, and eventually her organization transformed the lives of hundreds. Her mindset was a combination code that unlocked the universe's support. Mindset is also the filter through which miracles are recognized. Opportunities often arrive disguised as problems, setbacks, or delays. The difference between someone who sees a dead end and someone who sees a doorway is the way they think. I once spoke to an athlete who had been rejected by every major team. Each no could have been the end of his dream. Instead, he told himself, "This is training for what's next." He used the rejection to refine his skills, build resilience, and cultivate strategy. Within a few years, the very teams that had rejected him were competing for his talent. His mindset transformed failure into fuel, and the vault of opportunity opened in ways he could never have predicted. Every thought, every belief, every expectation is like a number in the code that unlocks your life. When you think small, doors stay shut. When you think big, doors open. When you combine persistence, gratitude, and vision, your mental combination aligns with the universe's supply. Even when circumstances look bleak, when others doubt, when evidence seems absent, your mindset can produce breakthroughs because it shapes not only how you see the world, but also how the world responds to you. It is the invisible key, the silent engine, the master code that determines whether the vault remains locked or spills forth its treasures, waiting for the one who dares to believe, act, and think in harmony with it. The moment faith aligns with divine timing is when transformation happens in ways that feel almost miraculous. It's not about rushing, pushing, or forcing outcomes. It's about the perfect convergence of preparation, belief, and the unseen forces at work in your life. I remember a friend who had been searching for years for the right career path. He applied to countless jobs, attended countless interviews, and faced rejection after rejection. He felt exhausted, frustrated, and invisible. One evening, after a particularly demoralizing day, he decided to stop chasing and simply trust. He spent the next few weeks honing his skills, volunteering in his field, and quietly building relationships without expectation. Then, almost suddenly, everything shifted. A company he hadn't even considered noticed his work, called him for an interview, and within weeks, he was offered a position that perfectly matched his talents and passions. He told me later, "I was ready long before the opportunity came. The timing was perfect because I had aligned my faith with what I was meant to receive." Divine timing is like a river. It doesn't move according to our schedules or demands. It flows when it flows, guided by currents we cannot see. Trying to force the river only causes resistance. Stepping into flow at the right moment allows it to carry you effortlessly. There's a story of a young woman who had been dreaming of writing a book for years. She tried launching her manuscript several times, but every publisher rejected it. She considered giving up, believing her dream might never materialize. Then she took a step back, focused on improving her craft, studying storytelling, and connected with a community of writers. 2 years later, she submitted a revised manuscript and was met with overwhelming acceptance. The book became a bestseller. She later said, "I didn't fail. I was waiting for the right moment to act. Divine timing brought my preparation and my opportunity together perfectly." Faith alone isn't enough without timing, and timing without faith often passes unnoticed. There's a balance between action and patience, between persistence and surrender. Many people give up too early, missing the moment when the universe is ready to respond. Others act prematurely, pushing doors open that are not yet meant to be opened, exhausting themselves in the process. The secret is alignment, preparing, believing, and moving in harmony with what's unfolding. I once met an entrepreneur who had been developing a product for years. He faced setbacks, technical problems, and financial strain, but he refused to let doubt dictate his actions. He trusted the process, kept refining his product, and nurtured relationships with potential partners. When the time was right, a major investor approached him, and everything accelerated beyond his imagination. He realized that the years of patient effort, combined with unwavering faith, had positioned him perfectly for that moment. Divine timing also shows up in the most unexpected ways. Opportunities can appear through chance encounters, quiet whispers of intuition, or moments that feel like coincidences but are really alignment in motion. The key is to remain ready, to keep believing, to keep acting faithfully, and to trust that the universe has a rhythm beyond human understanding. When that rhythm meets your faith, the vault opens in ways that exceed your imagination, proving that nothing was ever lost, nothing ever denied. It was simply waiting for the precise moment when your readiness and the universe's orchestration could meet. It is in that sacred convergence that your life transforms, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable as today. I ask you to remember this. The vault is waiting. The supply is waiting. The moment you've been dreaming of, the breakthrough, the miracle, the life you've imagined, is waiting for you. But it will not wait forever. It will not wait for hesitation. It will not wait for doubt. It will not wait for fear. Step forward. Step forward with faith. Step forward with courage. Step forward with the unwavering belief that what is meant for you cannot miss you. Open the door with your heart. Turn the combination with your mind and act with your hands. Step forward. Step forward. Step forward. Do not wait for perfect timing. Create the timing with your preparation, your action, and your trust. Do not wait for proof. Produce proof through your faith. Do not wait for someone else to unlock the door. Be the key. This is your moment. Your once-in-a-lifetime moment. The moment when faith aligns with action, when belief calls the unseen into being, when your life steps into abundance it was always meant to claim. And when that moment comes, you will look back and realize the vault was never closed. It was always open, waiting for you to turn the key. So I ask you now, will you step forward or will you step aside? Will you claim your supply or let it slip by? Will you choose faith or remain in fear? Because here's the truth. The vault will not wait. The supply will not wait. The moment will not wait. And neither should you. The vault opens not for the hesitant, not for the doubtful, not for fearful. It opens for the brave. It opens for the persistent. It opens for the one who chooses to believe and act. So go. Step forward. Open the door. Claim what is already yours. Because the supply is infinite, but the moment is now. Your support means everything. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember this, faith is a key, and you are holding it. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one.